welcome back again. For the next presentation, I should probably tell a little short story. In the 90s, when still in high school, I heard about LEDs. I guess you also know it.
Yeah.
And it sounded interesting to me because it simply sounded very iffy, so it was interesting. And but I didn't really understand it. And I asked my economy teacher, and he said it's crap because it's, you know, it doesn't matter, money is money and there's no difference. I'm not completely sure about the history of straw, but as far as I know, are you related with LEDs, or is it just...
So this one?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Stroh introduced the concept of LEDs, standing for Local Exchange Trading System, in the Netherlands.
Okay.
So, yeah, we work with this name.
Then money didn't really interest me. When I heard about Bitcoin, it did. I still knew Stroh, so that's why I also was interested, hearing that Stroh has an opinion on Bitcoin, and you use some parts of it, or you are inspired with it or something, and you also develop open source software. So that's why we invited Jaap Vink from the Social Trade Organization to give a presentation about Stroh and their opinion on Bitcoin. So please, a big applause for Jaap Vink.
Thank you, Bas. In my presentation, I want to tell a little bit about local digital currencies, so non-crypto currencies, how they work, why they actually exist, why would you start a local digital currency when you have euro, dollar, or just conventional currencies. The target for me today is also to hear your opinion and ideas how local digital currencies, so non-cryptocurrencies, can be combined with Bitcoin-like currencies. But before I come to that, I must give some background. So first I will tell a little bit about the Social Trade Organization, Stroh in short. Then why the targets, objectives of local digital currencies, some examples of projects of these kind of currencies, then the discussion, how can it be connected with Bitcoin-like currencies, and in the end I will tell a little bit about a new book that we will publish, will be released in 2 weeks, but we have some copies already, where the same things as I am explaining now are described. So to start about the Social Trade Organization, we are a Dutch NGO based in Utrecht, but also with offices in Brazil and Uruguay. We already started in 1970 as an environmental organization, but right from the start it was also focused on more economic issues, and it was because, okay, so there are environmental problems, also problems with unequal distribution of wealth, and there are of course many causes that there are environmental problems and there is poverty, but in our opinion, one of the main causes is the way the current monetary system is functioning. So what we started to do is analyze, making analysis, writing publications about this, but of course also thinking, okay, we don't like how it's working now, but are there alternatives? Can it be done differently? And this way we started to will study historical examples of other forms of money, other forms of trading, but also current examples, and learning from other projects. And then we started to implement our own project, because obviously we don't only want to say what is wrong and how it should be done, but also show that there is an alternative, that things can be done differently. So what we do is we design models for different kind of currencies. 25 years ago, mostly those systems were with script money, so paper notes, but not guilder notes or dollar notes, but local money notes. But later on, we started developing this with digital system. So we developed our own digital payment software, which I will tell a bit more later in my presentation, and developing also the models to bring these local currencies into practice, implementing, learning from these pilot projects, and with each project try to improve the model so that we really can make a project, a model that is different and a good alternative for the current money system. Our short-term target is to implement a number of demonstration projects which the local currency is functioning within a regional economy, and make all the manuals, software, all things needed to run such a project yourself available, so that other ones can copy it. Our long-term purpose is that there are many of these kind of local economy projects with their own currency, and that they are also be able to trade, connecting with each other in some way. And that's one of the reasons I'm here today, because here we are lacking some knowledge, and I think you guys have quite some experience could have about this. What may be good to start us with is that a little bit about maybe the differences between these kind of currencies and cryptocurrencies. It's not that we're saying Bitcoin is the perfect solution or it's totally wrong. I think a part of the objective, so to say, of Bitcoin are different than those from the local currencies in which we are involved. One main target of these kind of digital local currencies is to stimulate the local economy. This is done in several ways, but the most important one is that the local currency you only can spend locally. So only within a certain region or city, or would even be a neighborhood. So the use is limited to a certain area, to a certain group of users. That is one characteristic of these kind of currencies. Another objective is that in many regions, many local economies, there is a lack of exchange medium. Normally money should fulfill this role, but the money there isn't enough money available. It went to richer regions where it can get higher profits. So in such an underdeveloped region, there's a lot of capacity to do things. So a lot of people are unemployed, so they could do work. Shops, companies, they are not losing their full capacity to produce stuff. And on the other hand, there is also demand for products. So you have an offer, because obviously the local economy there is not running full scale, and there is demand. So you have offer and demand. Normally you would say to all economic their books, okay, they should meet with each other. But that is not happening. And there are again several reasons, but a really important one is the medium of exchange to enable all possible transactions just isn't available. And when you have such a situation, then the solution is that you introduce a local currency. And to make it a little bit more tangible how this can work, let's say I'm selling these pens. And you want to make notes of this presentation, but you don't have a pen, so you really want one. But the problem is you don't have euros to buy one. In such a local currency system, the one who wants to buy can get a credit. So you're paying me 5, well, it's a bit expensive, 2 local euros, local currency. So your saldo goes -2, and my account goes up +2. And in this way, the medium of exchange that is needed to make the transaction is created in the transaction itself.
Like with fiat. The same happens with euros.
Euros is a bit different. They are created as a debt on which interest has to be paid, and that is one of the reasons the monetary system is not working. But I'll leave it out of this presentation because then I will be talking till 5 and I won't do that to you. But in this way, there's always enough medium of exchange, local currency available to facilitate transactions. There are many thousands of local currency projects worldwide. You also have quite a lot just focused on more social objectives like getting stronger, strengthening the ties, the social ties in a neighborhood. The Let's is also an example more on these kind of objectives that people get to know each other. They do some trading with each other, but it's more a way to get new contacts than really because of economic objectives. Yes.
How is it physically?
Sorry,
The question is, how is it physically done, this transaction with the pen? So is it like, are we going to write on a piece of paper, or are we going to remember it, or?
No, I mean, long time ago it was remembered or carved down in a wooden stick, but this is administered by the software, and we developed one type of software, and there are other ones, there are other software packages as well. You could do it as well with just writing it down, but that takes a lot of work, so it's easier to do it digitally. And I will come back.
Go to a software, you have like a cell phone application?
Yeah, but I come to that later.
Okay,
So,
okay. Very good.
you have a question or you just want to?
No.
No, but please continue.
Okay, I go on. Yeah, like I said before, we started to develop our own payment software called Cycles to enable transactions within a local network of people, individuals and companies trading with each other. It's just in some way similar as with your online banking account. You sign up for a network, then you have an account, then you can look up in an online marketplace for other members, what they have for offer, what they have for sale, and you can contact them. When you have agreed on a transaction and the transaction is done, then you can make the payment either online from your laptop or by cell phone, a smartphone, postcard, payment cards, also possible. That's just up to the system that is running the local currency project. what kind of options they want to offer. This is just the way of payments can be done, but using this software offers some extra advantages, and that is that it is possible to track the money within the system, put a sort of, let's say, a counter on it that counts either how many times it has been used within the network or for how long it has been used. And this is important because in this way you can, for example, I give in the system credit to a company, saying, agreeing, okay, you repay the credit within 100 days, and you can either repay in the local currency, or if you don't have earned it in the meantime, in euros. And at that moment, 100, let's say it's the credit of 1,000 local currency, come into circulation with a counter on them saying 100 days till they can be converted to euros. Then the company that got the credit start spending it with other companies or people within the network, and they start spending it with other ones, and so on and so on. And during this period, each day, the counter goes one day down. So until a certain moment, then the 100 days passed, and then either the company who got the credit has repaid it, and then the system is, the circle is closed again, or they didn't earn enough local money, so then they repaid their credit in euros. So now they have repaid, let's say, 1,000 euros, but somewhere else in the network is a company that has earned this local currency with now as counter 0 days. So this company now can convert them to the 1,000 euros from the repayment of the loan. This is maybe short, yes.
Is this functionality also built into the Cyclos
Yes.
software? Okay.
This is, in our opinion, like I said before, our main target is we want to have a monetary system, an alternative that really can compete with the current monetary system. But the problem with all these kind of initiatives is, as long as you have not so many people and companies participating, you always have the problem at some moment, you say, yeah, now I've sold thousands of pens, I own 10,000, I have earned 10,000 local currencies, but I cannot spend them within the system, or only part of it. And with this mechanism, you can offer a way that the local currency can be converted to euros. This is especially attractive in the starting phase of such a system, when there are limited options to spend your local currency within the network. When you, at a certain moment, would have reached all companies in the Netherlands, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but just imagine, then there is no need to exchange, because you can spend your local currency everywhere. But as long as you don't have enough members yet that everyone can always spend them, this is an attractive option to get new members into the system. Well, these are just some examples of projects that are using our software. It's we used in our own local currency projects. Also, other initiatives use it in their local currency projects. But as a sort of side effect, I would say, also local banks, especially in developing countries, started to use it to offer mobile banking to their clients, or actually to new clients, because a lot of people in developing countries don't have bank accounts, but almost everyone has a cellular phone. They're really cheap because of China. And in this way, when you have a cellular phone, you can also have an account. And this is well, quite important for those people, because otherwise, if you have a little bit of money, then you have to save it, store it somewhere. If you want to pay someone else, you don't have a bank account, you have to travel, risk of robbery. And with these kind of banking services, yeah, you can just convert the money you have into yeah, currency on your cell phone, and you can transfer it easily to others. This is a side effect, a nice one, but not where we intended to do for when we developed it. And we also, because of this, we started thinking, because now quite some commercial banks started using our software, which was at the moment still open source. Yeah, we really like the idea of open source, and that's why we, for the first 10 years of development, did it with open source only. But the problem is we have 10 programmers working on this software. Well, we want to pay them in local currency, but obviously they still also want to be paid in dollar or euros. And although we do receive some funding for developing of the software, it's not enough. So we decided that with the new version of the software, there are two versions. One called Cycles for Communities. It's for free. We also host it for free. And every initiative with a social purpose can use it. And it's really, they can start using it. It takes 50 minutes to install it. And then we have a paid version, which again is for free for social enterprises, which has more features, and is paid for those like banks that want to use it, so that with that income we can keep on developing the software and offer it to non-commercial initiatives. Well, this I explained already a bit during telling what the Cycle software can do. And another feature that is interesting with this kind of money is that you can say, okay, one of the purposes is I want to stimulate a trade in the local economy. So I don't want that everyone keeps this money on his account and not doing anything with it. I want them to spend it. And one way to do it is sort of negative interest, a liquidity tax, meaning that every day you have your local currency or term euros, whatever name you give them, on your account, you pay a really small fee going to the local organization running the system to cover their costs. And this stimulates that you spend your currency, because if you keep it for like 1 year on your account without doing anything with it, you lose some money with it. Well, we of course want to bring this into practice. We've done quite some projects before, but right now, this year, we started to prepare projects in which we can implement this technology with the counter of the local money circulating. We're doing this with networks of companies, people, also existing local currency projects ranging from Italy, Catalonia, Italy, and also in the Netherlands we want to introduce it. Just to give some examples of these kind of projects that are participating in this project. One is called Sardex. It's a network of over 1,000 companies, and when these companies are trading with each other, they pay each other with Sardex euros. Also, the regional government is intending to make some expenditures through this network. So if they have a stimulation program to say we want to stimulate the economy in Sardinia, before that the problem, they spend euros with a Sardinian company, but after this first transaction, this company could spend these euros everywhere, so also outside of Sardinia. But now if they spend it within this network, the regional government could say, okay, let's put a counter on this money that it has to be spent 5 times locally. So there have to be 5 transactions with this money within the local Sardinian network. And then it can be converted to euros and spent outside Sardinia, even outside Italy. The same goes with the Bristol pound. This is a project that was got quite some media attention. A town in the UK which also introduced its own local money called Bristol pounds, both in notes of physical money as digital. And also in this project, the local government is involved, and we are preparing to upgrade, so to say, their system with a model in which they also can give credits to companies using this counting days technology. We hope that in the end we get a lot of successful projects in this way. But of course, you cannot do everything locally. Not everything is for sale locally, and we don't say that you should just do it all yourself in your own town without getting product services from outside. We're only saying do locally what can be done locally, but if not, do trade with others. Up till now, this you have to convert to euros if you want to trade with other or spend outside your region. But you could imagine that at some moment when there are a lot of these kind of projects running successfully, that they want to trade directly to each other. Also, there are quite some projects, I think a number of hundreds, running on our software, but there are also many other kind of software packages, and also many other projects using these other products. So we're thinking, how could you enable trade between these kind of communities, these kind of projects? I mean, very basically you could say, okay, you just, if possible, convert the local currency from the Sardinia project to euros, and then you transfer the euros to Bristol, and then in Bristol they are converted to pounds, and then the pounds are converted to Bristol pounds. That can be done, but there's quite some transaction costs, and you could imagine when you have projects in Argentina that want to join, in Indonesia, Congo, you have these kind of projects everywhere, that a cryptocurrency could be used for this target. This wasn't suggested from someone active in the in Bitcoin movement. I'm not sure if it's possible, or maybe it is possible, but not very practical. But if you have any ideas on this or suggestions, I would be interested to hear so. I'm not saying we're going to implement it right away, but at some moment we have to start making trade between different projects possible. So.
Similar.
Yes, I don't like mine. What is this? Pretty much in line with what you were saying, there's a similar coin called Saffron Coin, and they had a similar idea where they wanted to allow local residents to be able to use their local currency to exchange for bitcoins or any other currencies. So the limitation at the moment is with exchanges, your options are either Chinese yen or yes, or something like that. You can trade it for Chinese money or US dollars, and that's about it. There's limitations in a lot of other countries. So if this coin's purpose was to come up with a way of allowing, I guess, the Indian population to be able to use their currency and empower them to be able to get into the crypto scene. So it's a bit different from what you were saying, but still it's a similar concept in being able to transfer their money into cryptocurrency, and then from there obviously they can change it to any other global currency that they choose to do.
Can you repeat the name of the currency you just mentioned?
Saffron. Saffron, like the...
Saffron.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you. That's, I will give you my card afterwards. Interesting to learn more about it.
Just grab the mic so people are pushing. I have a question about all these local monies, that whether they are legal or not. We had a talk on VAT and Bitcoin a couple of days ago, or yesterday, I forgot. Bitcoin is not classified as money under the Dutch law, and pretty much not under European law at all, because it is not issued by the government. That's part of the definition of money here in the Dutch law. As such, the VAT regime is that it should VAT on all transactions. BTW 21%. During the Greek crisis, some local coins sprouted up in Greece, and also the papers were saying really what is going on there is they are stimulating the local economy by robbing the tax department of the country by not paying VAT while they should. What is current time? What is the status of these kind of local currencies? Are they legal, or are you actually charging VAT on every transaction?
Yes, they are legal. It depends on how the system is defined, and also the possibility of conversion to euros, whether or not you need certain permits. The systems I described for now, obviously are all perfectly legal. And also important, especially when companies join such a system, they have to record their earnings in this local currency, and they have to pay VAT on this to the tax office just the same. And for now, this VAT has to be paid in the national currency or international in the case of euros.
What you describe now seems like a legal currency, money. Otherwise, it's not enough to register and pay VAT as you described, because that would be the way you work with money. Money is a special case. You don't pay VAT when you change local money.
You mean for the exchange?
Yeah, that's
okay. Sorry.
Point
I thought
you
were mentioning when you're having transactions in VAT and you make a sale of this table, and then you make earnings and you have to pay tax on that. Now for the conversion, it's a bit different, and this is still a gray area. I was saying for now conversion to keep things simple, but in reality what you would do in this kind of systems, organize an auction, an online auction, where people can offer their local currency, just as it would be an asset, and other ones could offer to buy it. Then you get, and then you get an exchange rate. And because of the liquidity tax within the system, and there are certain backings of the credits you give, we want to insure them. We know that there is 100% backing, so that we can ensure a one-to-one exchange rate, but we're never allowed to actually say this. We offer you a one-to-one exchange, but in practice, all participants will experience I can always exchange one-to-one.
Okay, so when coming back again to the VAT, you are now not doing the exchange, you're merely bringing people together. You charge probably VAT over your service costs. And the people that are bartering or brought together or whatever by your exchange, they should be paying VAT, but they just don't.
No. Again, when making a transaction within the system, so I'm paying you, I'm delivering you a product.
The product is your money. I'm
delivering you.
Yeah, but the VAT question is about the exchange between euros and your money. That's the grey bit about the taxation. All the other parts are standard.
Yeah, okay. Now, in our opinion, but we are still researching this both in the Netherlands, but also in the UK with the Bristol pound, because that's the most advanced system. It's VAT excluded. Because if not, the system is not feasible. So then we have to find another way around. Because
the exclusion was made specifically for a money. It was written into law that Bristol pounds are excluded.
The thing is, it's not so much, for us there is another problem. The one is the VAT, and that problem seems to be solved. The other one is whether or not, when you consider it, if it's considered e-money, then you need, as an institution running the system, certain permits, which are rather expensive to get one. So either you work with a local bank, and in the case of Bristol, they work with the local Bristol Credit Union.
Okay, so this is where it differs from Bitcoin. You actually have local banks and you're running
It
those
can,
companies per
but
bit.
the thing is, I now put it just on one big table, saying that everything that has a wheel is the same. No, a bike is different from a car, but there's some things in common. So it really depends on the kind of system, because that's maybe important to notice. Most local currency systems don't allow exchange for euros. And then you don't have this problem. But you have another problem, as I was saying before, what if you earn a lot of these local currency and you cannot convert them? Then you just leave the system, and that's what often happens, why those systems never grow. They stay, most of them remain at a certain level of participants.
Okay, those are suggestions, question mark. I think what you write down, the conventional solution, exchange the local currency A for euro.
Yeah, that's the simple one.
Transfer to another network and transfer back. That is what we're doing in the crypto coin world too, only we're automating parts of it. Crypto, of course, has some proof of ownership going on, that you centralizing your software, your counters. But we are doing the same thing, essentially. My question is really, why would you want to do that globally while you're trying to localize the economy? Isn't it working against your interest?
I think that you, there always will be the need for international trading, or even, because most of these local systems are regionally focused. So if for trading within a country, you want to use other means of exchange. One of the reasons we were thinking the current monetary system isn't working is how it's created with interest and so on. So we would prefer a system that isn't using the euro or another conventional type of money. And I think if you would, for example, Bristol pound, someone wants to converts it to a Bitcoin, then it's transferred right away to someone in Sardinia, and right away it's converted to Sardinia euros. That would be a way that you're not using the euro, and you would use Bitcoin sort of medium of exchange, an intermedium actually, but not as a means of
well, and for transfer, obviously.
Yeah, for transfer, but not for the other purposes of which Bitcoin also are used, but that are not, can be used within these kind of
I
systems.
think then the answer is simple. You need exchanges to operate that do Bitcoin versus less, Bitcoin versus Bristol pounds, etc., etc. And probably the biggest problem is the legalities again.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much technology as
How it's now being done, if you want to, for example, you have Loppes and Makkie. Makkie is in Amsterdam, as far as you know. And you also have the Rotterdam, or the Rotter or something.
the Dam, yes.
Yeah, and what if I, as a supporter of Feyenoord, become a supporter of Ajax?
You do have a
So I
problem.
have to move to another city
Yeah.
because of my life savings and such. And how it's done in practice?
Okay, how it's done now is quite easy. So assume you're living in Rotterdam, and you are active in the local currency system over there called DAM, and you're doing quite well. I've earned a lot of DAM, but then you're moving to Amsterdam. What you then would do is buying products or selling them until the moment your account is zero. Then you leave the system, go to Amsterdam, join a system over there, for example, TradeCoin, and start trading there. So it's not that you can bring your den to Amsterdam.
So you are actually using, let's say, the real world economy of goods as a means of exchange then. So if I have 10 done, to say it like that, and I want to move, then I simply buy some ice cream, some clothes.
Yeah, but
some
that's
things.
the same as if you have a lot of euros and you
Yeah.
go to the States. I mean,
Yeah,
you
I
go to
know,
live
but
permanently.
just to have it.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're right.
Okay.
For now, it cannot be converted, and you could again imagine if you allow an intermediate, then you could also have exchange.
But it also depends on the different local currencies. Some do.
Yeah, that's another thing, and I didn't discuss it now because there are of course a lot of more practical problems. Some they don't allow conversions, so then it's not possible at all.
It's
Yeah,
always possible.
I mean, it's always the exchange. How do you determine the exchange rate, and also how do you prevent that if you have a very large, attractive system in Rotterdam, and a really small one in Amsterdam, that all trading is going to Amsterdam, leaving to Rotterdam, leaving the Amsterdam project without any local currency circulating. So one way to solve this is again to put a small transaction tax on transactions between systems. But yeah, there are many options for that.
And I was wondering, could you somehow say in a rude manner that let's say the movement to make currencies local, that it's I'm not sure if anti-capitalist is the right word, but it tries to prevent capital running out of, capital going loose out of the country.
Yeah, I think I know what you want to say. If it's just if using local money is the same as saying against globalization of trade.
For a banker, I guess a banker's it sounds very unnatural to say like that.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, for us it's more fundamental that is saying banks should provide services, not making profit because of creating money out of nothing. Yes, a lot of people active in these with local currencies are against globalization, so to say, but also a large part isn't, and that's, in my opinion, a good development. Just saying, okay, when you have a local economy and it's only, it's not very developed, not very diverse, only focused on a certain export product, then we say, now first try to develop more locally your businesses, that you have more offer and also more demand locally. And then when you have a strong local economy, then of course why not go trading on the world market. But what you see now is that especially vulnerable, poorer regions only focus on one kind of product. They import everything, almost everything they need from outside, while a lot of these imported products also could be made locally. And if you're just saying, yeah, but those imported products are cheaper, so that's better. But then we're saying, but if you buy a local product which may be a bit more expensive than the one imported, okay, then yes, indeed, this is more expensive. But when you buy a local product, after some transactions, it might mean income for you because the money stays locally. So in the end, the product that seems to be more expensive, the local one, could be cheaper indeed. And a local currency helps to make a sort of shift in preferences.
It's the same reasoning in the open source world. People say that if you buy, for example, closed source Microsoft software or something, then you are the only thing that is really happening is that you are sending your money to America, and that what you get back is software that doesn't always work and such. But their reasoning is that they say if you keep it locally, then the same as you say, then it remains in your local community, and that way it comes back to you more early than when the money is circulating in America. So it's the same.
Bit same. To finish, I want to tell one more thing. For now, sorry, only Dutch only. In about 3 weeks, this book will be officially published. It's called Een ander soort geld, meaning another kind of money, describing more or less the same as I was telling now, but of course much more interesting, much funnier way. We are distributing this book in a special way. You can get a free copy as long as you commit that when you have finished reading it, you either pass it forward to someone else or you return it back to us, because it was even worse than this presentation of this guy at this Bitcoin conference. Or if you want to keep it, you pay for it. We brought some copies with us, just outside the hall on the table. If you fill out a form with your name and your email, then you just can get this one. And we promise we protect your data strongly. That's just to know to which we pass it forward. We are making a translation of this book. We have some volunteers translating it to English. Maybe by any chance you'll be a native English speaker, but also very good in Dutch. We're still looking for volunteers. And at some moment an e-book in English of this book will become available, but I'm afraid it will take some months to get the translation done. Oh, sorry, to finish, if you want to take a copy, I'm leaving after the next presentation, I think, so please get it during the break.
I want to buy a copy, but I don't have enough euros on me. Do you take Bitcoin?
We'll take 1 Bitcoin.
Friendly price for you.
You guys are available?
Well, if you fill out just a form saying that we are allowed to take 20 euros from your account, then we do it. But I don't have a Bitcoin account. And we can have a long discussion maybe afterwards. Why not?
I'll buy Bitcoin to 20 euros. I'll give you this Bitcoin.
Okay, yeah, you know it. You should have ordered one just to say.
No.
Are there any more questions?
No, also practical, but both actually.
I don't see any hands raising questions, so I guess there are no questions anymore. So Jaap, thank you for giving this presentation. Please a big applause for Jaap Vink from the Social Trade Organization.
Thank you as well for your comments, questions.
And please visit the...
Yeah, there we have some information also on the software and anything else. Okay.
By the way, please be back as soon as possible, because we are krap in tijd.
Short on time.
Short on time. Yeah.